Good day again, and welcome to the Hans Haverkamp Flower School here in the little glorious village of Twinning in the north of Gloucestershire. Today we're going to make two designs with you, and the first one I'm going to show you is a little bit based on this one here, which is an elevated kind of canopy design in a short little cylinder vase. And this is reasonably simple to do, and I'm going to take you through all the steps. But you can see the idea with this is to create a canopy of foliage with some branches coming through to create some contrast, and then to have these lovely different Easter eggs hanging down. And little touches of feathers, and then just a little bit of colour here in the base to pick up the colour of the Easter eggs so you can coordinate your ideas. Well, we're going to use, I'll go through our little tools scenario here. This is your main little asset, which is a pair of secateurs, and you can also use a knife, which I will probably use at some point for some of the materials. The wire cutters I don't think we need today, but you can also use a pair of scissors if you so wish. And I'm always misplacing my scissors, but I've just found a pair conveniently. There we go. But I thought I'd just show you a variation with the square vase here. And the first thing we're going to do is almost create our mechanics in here. So around here I've got lots of wild willow growing, and these stems are really quite good because the branches are fairly thick and they're nice and straight. So what I've done is gotten the stem and then cut it into chunks that are about the size of the vase. Don't worry too much about whether they fit exactly. And when you've got a big side branch like that, I'm just going to cut that away. I'm not going to use that. And I'm going to keep chopping. And just do this until you think you've got enough pieces for your vase. And then we're going to start to fill the vase up, but we're going to also add some tubes. Now these are basically plastic flower tubes that cymbidiums, orchids come in, sometimes anthuriums. They come in different sizes. You can see here also we've got a smaller one. So those are sort of roughly the three sizes. And I'm going to use the big ones here. And you can see I've cut a little bit the bottom away from that, and you need to be careful when you do this. Well, at least a little bit careful that you don't chop your fingers off. And just cut. See, and that just snaps off. So, and the reason why is that when we fill the vase, the water goes up the tube. Otherwise, you need to water the tube separately. And I'm going to put these a little bit towards the outside. You can sort of see there, I'll show you again afterwards, but it's roughly sort of just spread a little, dispersed a little bit. Don't worry, they'll end up in the wrong place where you don't want them, but hey, that's the fact of life. So then I'm just going to finish putting these extra stems in. Now, if you have a bigger container and you can't find enough stems, or you found that your neighbour's tree is disappearing, then what you can also do is use a little piece of foam, which is a little bit smaller than the container, so that you leave, say, about ½ an inch or about 3/4 of an inch gap all the way around. Put a piece of foam in and then just put the stems on the outside, so you just get the visual of the stems. But I thought it would be nice to do it this way, so that you can see it creates an interesting aspect all in itself, and it's just really nice to look at. So there we go, that's nice and full. And you can see there's a little bit of give in there, so it's not completely stuffed. But don't worry about that, because we still need to put our stems in, the branches that we're going to create the structure with. So, and you can, if you just have a few pieces aside, or you get a few small twigs, like thinner ones, you can use those just if you, later on, if you do need to fill that, yeah, if you just need to secure it later, then you can do that afterwards. So don't worry about that for now. So, as I say, I've got 3 tubes in there. like that. You can add more if you wish. And now we're going to make a start. Important thing is to add some water here. And so I'm just going to pour the water in. And I'm going to just do it under halfway full. And you can see that you've got a nice view all round, and then those lovely little circular bits from the cut stems. You can use any stems for this, but basically the reason why I chose willow is there's lots of it around and it grows like mad and it's nice and straight. Yeah? Ideally you want straight pieces as opposed to curved ones. So then I'm going to use some of these sycamore shoots. I found a whole load of these here at the back. So I'm not going to do the same. I know I've got horse chestnut in this, but this one I thought I would do with the sycamore shoots. And they've got that lovely bit of sort of colouring on there. They're a little bit reddy. And there's a nice bit of red there in the buds. I'm going to make this a little bit taller because the stem, also the container is a bit bigger than the cylinder. And see, I'm just going to slot those in. And you can see it moves a little bit, but as I put more of the stems in, you'll also notice, just move some of these aside, that slowly I start to fill the gaps and push the materials closer together. Let's see, and try and get them so that they face the right way that I want them to face. Those there. Now obviously I've taken the foliage off, so there's no foliage going near the stems at the base. And do make sure the stems go down so that they go into water. And just have a little play with it. What we're looking to achieve with this is to get literally a kind of canopy, so a little bit of a spread if you can. So ones that are like that, I can just move that forward, you can see they've got a nice bit of a curve in there. So I'm going to make use of that curve to let that come over a little bit and come out. So we're just carrying on putting a few more in. And try, as I say, try and spread the branches out a bit. But don't worry too much if they don't, because I'll show you afterwards what else we can do to just help us with that. Here we get a nice, that's a nice sort of full one there. And you can see that I'm measuring them up against the side of the table, so I know where to cut the branches. Again, what you can do here when you use these branches, these leaves will stay fine, but just to give it a little extra help is to create a cut halfway along the stem, halfway, and just cut through so you split the stem just a little bit, and that will help the branches drink the water a little bit better. So we'll put that in. And so you can already start to see I've got just a nice little bit of spread. You can see that one's I like to think that one's a little bit tall there. So I'm going to have to wrestle this one out again and make it a little bit shorter. But probably you can also tell that I'm having to push a little bit harder, because now you can see the stems are pushing all these tall stems are pushing all the short stems together a little bit more tightly. You don't need to fill the whole thing up completely. We want a little bit of space in there. So you can see here now I've got this lovely little canopy at the top. You can see there's a lot of foliage down here at the bottom. So now I'm going to do a little bit of pruning, and I'm going to take quite a few. You don't need to cut them all away. You can leave some if you like, and then you can always cut more off later. You can't add them back on, so remember that. Right, let's leave it like that for the moment. For the rest, I can always, as I say, cut some more off. You see that now this is fairly full up. If you do, you can see that some of these, one or two of these might sort of move around a little bit, and once you've got your branches in, you can always just slot a few more stems in. You can see that actually that's quite hard to push in, just to make sure, and you can feel as well whether it's still loose. So yeah, if there's one there, it's not gone, that one hasn't gone completely to the bottom, but that's okay. So, but I think that's pretty secure. So what we're going to do now is, I found these lovely twigs. What I wanted to do was find something that sort of contrasts, and then you've got these lovely, they're little buds that will come out at some point, but they won't now, they'll just dry in because I'm not going to use them. Obviously, I'm not going to put them in water, they're going to hang up here. And what I could do it like that, and you're more than welcome to do it however you like, but that way the lovely little buds kind of interfere and they almost fight with the foliage. And because I kind of want that canopy, I kind of want to feel a little bit like an umbrella. So I'm turning them upside down so they go in that direction. And I'm just going to put these through the branches. Be a little bit careful because they are of course fresh. The foliage is fresh and it's quite easy to damage it. And sort of slot it, just have a little play and see, so that it sort of sits inside. You can see it's just coming out there. I don't want it to stick right out. And then you'll find that the foliage already supports it fairly well. And this is where I'm going to use a little bit of wire, and this is paper covered wire. It comes in brown and green. I prefer the green because I think it always shows less, even though you'd think brown would show less, the green shows less than the brown. And I'm now going to tie that, literally I'm just going to tie a piece. I'll turn hopefully so you can see, and I wrap the wire around the stem, and then if I turn it the other way, so I've just gripped it round, and then I've got the two ends, and I cross those over, and then I twist them together, just to hold it in place. Don't worry, it's not going to go anywhere. You could see that it was already supported partly. And then I'm going to put one more here, just, and you can see that at the moment that's right up against the foliage, but you can just pull that down to where you want it to go. And the branches are nice and flexible at this time of year, so you can get it to do fairly much what you want. And then get the next twig, and yeah, don't worry about going wrong with this. Just try and create a canopy with these branches that is roughly at a similar height. So now you can see that's here, and I'm letting that stick out on the new piece on this side to create a level almost. Yeah, I could go up there, but don't worry, it's all a little bit give and take. And you can always at the end, the best thing is just to do it. And then at the end, if you really see a piece that's, just looks totally wrong, you can always adjust it a little bit, and then, but as I say, don't get too worked up. You can, for this, you can also use cable ties, by the way, somewhere. Here we are, over here. As many of you will know, yeah, cable ties can also be used just in a very simple way. Just make sure with the cable tie that you've got this flat side, and then you've got the sticky outy bit. The end of the cable tie goes through the flat bit, and then you tighten it. Okay, people always, the other way it won't work at all. I'll just show you that one more time. Like, so it goes, the end goes through the flat part of the cable tie. and then you pull it to. Yeah, so if you find the wiring difficult, you could just always do the same thing with the cable tie, and you can see that in this, that would, yeah, the colour would actually be quite nice when you look at it together with the colouring on the leaves. So, and the more branches you put in here, the more self-supporting it will be. So in the beginning you have to literally tie everything, but after a while you'll create a structure purely from what you've got, which will then support other twigs that you put in. Now you can use other branches. Yeah, I've chosen the sycamore because I thought the colouring was nice. But anything that you find that's coming out, have a play with it. Don't think that if you don't have horse chestnut or something like these sycamore twigs that it's not going to work. Anything can work and everything has a different result. And that's the nice thing. It's all about looking around you and seeing what's around, seeing what's available where you are. Yeah, try to be a little bit nice towards Mother Nature. As I say, don't start cutting whole trees down. You could always do this over 2 days. If you find that you haven't got them quite enough, then if you go for a forage in the area that you know, you'll know where you won't then be wondering where you picked it in the first place. A little bit more. A little bit more. So I'm trying to get these arching branches so that they go round the design a little bit. On this side as well. Now, if you find that you're going a little bit too high, you can also add one from below. That's also possible, so I don't think you need to keep piling up. So we'll add this one from underneath, and by sort of playing around with the little side twigs, you'll just make the whole structure stronger. Now you can play around with this for as long as you want. So I'm going to leave it as it is, I think. Move all this out of the way because I kind of want to get on to the next thing, and that is hanging some nice eggs from here. And I've got a lovely little selection of eggs that I thought would be suitable. I've got some quail's eggs, some little cute quail's eggs in nests, but I don't think I'm going to use those. And then I've got these coloured eggs. These are hen eggs that have been painted, they're commercial. And then even these, which are plastic eggs, but they're actually quite nice because they don't have a seam on them to give away the fact that they're plastic. And I've got the 2 eggs, one which comes like that and is broken, and then that one which is just a blown one. Now what I've done with these is the eggs, the plastic eggs tend to come on a lovely white bit of ribbon, which in something this natural I don't like, but that's totally up to you. But what I do is I just pull that ribbon out. This is the plastic one, don't be doing this with if you've got chicken eggs, because you just have a big hole in your egg. And what I've then done is got a little bit of string and just tied a little loop in it and knotted it. And the glue gun comes in here. If you haven't got a glue gun, you can always use just, you can use normal glue. And I just put a tiny dab of hot glue there, and then I put the knotted part and I just press that down on the little egg. Okay. And then what I'm going to do, you can see what I've done with the bigger eggs is I've created like a little bow on there. And I've done that with string. You can see that the idea being that the string looks just all round a bit more natural. Now, I've just got a little bit of normal jute string, and I'm just going to make a little bow. So all I do is I make a little loop, oops, yeah, so just a little loop one side, wrap the string round, just like making a bow. Very simple bow. And then I pull that tight to make it smaller, so it goes really tight. So I've got two tiny little hoops, and I pull those nice and tight so that I have it like so. And then with the big eggs, with a blowhole at the top, just squeeze gently on the glue gun, and again push that onto there, push the knotted part onto there, and just let that dry for a moment. Once that's done, to make it nice and easy to hang, another little technical bit is I'm going to put that on a piece of wire, because that makes it really simple to hang up. And I'm just going to gather the two pieces, the two loose pieces of the string together, and then use a little bit of the paper covered wire, make a little U-pin, put that behind, oops, and pull those, and then squish that all together, and then just wrap one around a couple of times, and then you've got the other end of that paper covered wire, and I just push that back down. So that now hooks onto there, and I cut the string away, and now I can just have that hanging like so. And all I need to do here is just wrap that around the stem. You don't even, because they're so light, these eggs. Oh, excuse me, while I just have a rustle with my glue gun. There we are. I'm just going to do that. I'll show that again in a moment. These are I've wired already. And I just add them right through. Yeah, don't forget the middle here. The middle's also very nice to put some in. And also even where some of these little twigs are a little bit higher, I just wrap them slightly around. Let me up. And I'm just mixing them up a little bit in terms of the colour. And I just thought I'd do this one in orange to colour a little bit with those lovely leaves, just to colour with that red foliage there at the top. Fine tune it later on, and you can see now that the emphasis is all up here, and I'm even going to take some more of these away now. My sister had to go shopping yesterday. I didn't, so I asked her if she could, if there were any daffodils around, whether she'd bring me some. Just that nice little orange centre. So that's what I want to use down here at the base. And just give those a cut. And what I'm going to do, this is the plan, Stan, is this is where my tubes that I was putting in come in really useful. Because if I was trying to do this by sticking the flowers in between the stems would crush the daffodil stems. The tubes create a little bit of security, and they hold the daffodils nice and upright. And even though I'm probably not going to use all the tubes, it doesn't make any difference because you can't see them because they're slightly sunken down. So there we go. See if I can get these a little bit deeper to get that colour to go further down. So I think like that. I can do a little bit of fine tuning, but I think overall I'm fairly happy with that. But want not, waste not. So I will put these last few in, and because I've just found, it just only reason is I found a tube here. I think that could actually look quite nice to have a little bit of colour in there. So I'm going to put these in there, face them all outwards a little bit, like that. And then what I do want to do is move these and make them shorter to get that colour going down towards the base, so you get a clear distinction between what's up at the top, up here, and it's almost hanging over. It's like an umbrella over these lovely little daffodils. So again, I'm going to still cut more away because I love that empty space between the two. Just that little touch of foliage, I'll leave that. With that finished, we have now got, I think, a nice alternative Easter tree. And the colours between the two, you can see work. With this one being in blue, and with this one, you can get away with I'll just get these little great hyacinths. So, let's do a few on this side, so that it goes all the way around. And it just picks up a little bit on the blue Easter eggs here. For this one, by the way, you'll see I've got an ostrich egg, and I just thought it was fun. You could do it just like that. You can see also I've added some little feathers. I could add those on this one really well in the same way, but I'll leave that like that. But because of this nest here, I found a lovely little spot, and it just creates a little bit of intrigue in the centre of that one. And there we are.